It's fairly common for countries to have similar names to one another. Think of Austria and Australia, or Slovenia and Slovakia. But there's some cases where countries have more or less the exact same name. We see this in the likes of North and South Korea, or Sudan and South Sudan. These nations, however, make themselves easier to identify through the use of cardinal directions. But perhaps the most confusing case of two countries having the same name goes to a pair found in Central Africa. These two countries are called Congo, or more specifically, the Republic of the Congo and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Yeah, there's literally a one-word difference in their names, and both are often simply referred to as just Congo. This creates all kinds of confusion, and we have to ask ourselves, how did we end up with two countries called Congo? But before we delve deeper, I need to say thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. I've been using Nord for years now, and they are by and far the best VPN I've ever used. I was more than happy to promote them when they reached out once again. You may have noticed I don't really do sponsored bits all that much anymore, and that's because most of the companies that reach out to me are for things I don't really care all that much about and don't want to promote to you guys. NordVPN, meanwhile, is a service I adore and would happily sing the praises of for free, but you know, I have bills to pay. Anyway, the internet can be a scary place at times, with scams and cybersecurity threats and God knows who spying on what you're up to online. NordVPN allows you to connect to one of their many secure servers which are located all across the globe. It's super quick and easy, and once you're connected, your data will be hidden from anyone with any malicious intent and keep your online activity completely private. Aside from this, Nord keep you safe online in so many other ways too, from alerting you as to whether a site is safe or not, to blocking other scams and malware thanks to their Threat Protection Pro. Though my favourite thing about Nord is the fact they allow me to explore the complete internet. There are many parts of our online world which are geo-restricted, meaning you can only see them if you're in the correct country. Thanks to Nord, I can digitally travel to any part of the world and enjoy all aspects of online life. For example, I really love the extended superfan episodes of The Office. I discovered them on a recent trip to Florida and our Airbnb at Peacock, and I just fell in love with them. The only issue, however, is that Peacock is a streaming service you can't get here in the UK, meaning these extended episodes of one of my favourite shows are completely inaccessible to me here in the UK. But thanks to Nord, I can simply hop on one of their US servers and access them just as if I was in the land of the free myself. It's truly incredible, and I can only describe it as giving me access to the full internet. Also, if you're here in the UK, you're probably going to want a VPN anyway, for, well, recent events, shall I say. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But throw in their 24/7 customer support and their 30-day money-back guarantee, and what's not to love? NordVPN are offering Name Explain viewers an exclusive offer, as well as 4 extra free months for their terrific service. Simply visit nordvpn.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to enjoy Nord at a great price. Thank you so much once again to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video, and remember, that's nordvpn.com/nameexplain or simply click the link down below. Anyway, despite the similarities in the names of these two countries, there's a fair few things that make them unique to one another. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is by and far the larger of the two, being over 900,000 square miles in size, with a population of over 110 million people. The Republic of the Congo, meanwhile, has just over 6 million people and is a mere 130,000 or so square miles big. This means that the Democratic Republic of the Congo is around 7 times bigger than the Republic of the Congo. Did I say those the right way around? Ugh, you know what? It can be hard talking about these two countries due to their similar names. Thankfully, they do also go by other names that make them a tad more unique. Most commonly, they're shortened to just their initials, with the Democratic Republic of the Congo being called the DRC and the Republic of the Congo being called the ROC. They're often referred to by their capital cities too, with the DRC being called Congo Kinshasa and the ROC being called Congo Brazzaville. And of course, the DRC was called Zaire for some time too. This was a whole thing, and we've covered it in an earlier video. For the rest of this video, however, I'm going to call them the DRC and ROC, as that's just the easiest and least confusing option. Though something of interest is the fact that both nations share a demonym. Regardless of if you come from the DRC or ROC, you are referred to as Congolese. But despite all these other names they can be referred to as, it is that title of Congo which is most deeply tied to them. You have to wonder if this is a case of one country copying another in regards to their name. Like, which one of these is the true Congo and who had that name first? Well, seemingly, neither of them did. The word Congo wasn't created as a name for a country, but instead has its ultimate origins as the name of a tribe of people who have lived here for an incredibly long time. The Congo people, noticeably spelt with a K here. We aren't entirely sure as to why exactly they have this name, as it's a word that goes so far back into history that we've been unable to fully trace its true origins, though thankfully we have theories. One idea is that it comes from the word Nkongo in their language, which means hunter, in relation to the lifestyle they led, while another theory is that it might mean mountain, in relation to the mountains which are prominent in this region of the world. What we know for sure, however, is that these Congo people eventually founded their own empire in the late 14th century, which was dubbed the Kingdom of Congo, which was housed in parts of both modern-day Congo nations. And then this kingdom led to the naming of the key river that runs through it, the Congo River, Africa's second largest river and the deepest river in the world. This river is pivotal to life that lives across its banks, and its prominence led to these two nations being named after it. So, just to recap, the countries are named after the river was named after the kingdom is named after the people. And for those wondering, it was most likely through all of this as to why Kong has become a go-to moniker for fictional gorillas, as these great apes do live in this area. And in a roundabout way, it led to the name of the dog toys called Kongs too, as a friend of the creator supposedly remarked that his dog toys look like an earplug for King Kong. So, very simply put, the two countries are named Congo down to the fact that the Congo River flows through both of them. That's all well and good, but it doesn't explain everything to us. There are multiple cases of one river flowing through many countries on our planet. The Danube alone goes through Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. But all these countries aren't called variations of the Republic of the Danube, are they? They get unique names due to the history that's played out in these countries, allowing them to be named after things like the people who live there or other geographic features. While the land that makes up the two modern Congo countries both have incredibly ancient and rich history behind them, with the earliest signs of human life in them dating hundreds of thousands of years ago, the modern countries of the DRC and ROC are actually fairly modern inventions, which resulted in their names not being all that unique and more or less being the same as one another. These countries and their modern borders are products of a time period known as the Scramble for Africa. This was a time in history from around the late 19th to early 20th century, which saw European powers carve up the continent of Africa into territories under their control, which gave them access to resources they were unable to easily obtain in the past. Africa came under huge European interest at this time for a multitude of reasons. From the Industrial Revolution, meaning humans in Europe needed more resources than ever to power their machines, to the simple fact that many of these countries by this time had lost land in other parts of the world. Britain and Spain, an example, had more or less lost all of their holdings in the New World, which were now their own countries. This culminated in Africa becoming Europe's new plaything, for lack of a better term, for them to extract use and power out of. This all resulted in the continent being carved into chunks and claimed as territories for European powers to have under their control, with little input from the people already living in the land. It was this scramble for Africa that set in motion the modern borders for a large majority of Africa's nations today. These borders were put in place with very little rhyme or reason, splitting up families and previous settlements into different territories. A prime example of this is with the aforementioned Kingdom of Congo. The scramble for Africa resulted in this kingdom's land being split between two different territories under the rule of two different foreign powers. One territory which housed the former kingdom went to the French and became known as French Congo or Middle Congo in 1882. It was this territory which would go on to become the ROC. The other part of the kingdom would fall into land under Belgian rule and be dubbed Belgian Congo in 1908. Belgian Congo actually has its origins a bit before the proper start of the Scramble for Africa. It was originally dubbed the Congo Free State and not ruled directly by the nation, but rather by King Leopold II, who used it as his own personal playground to commit all kinds of atrocities. Seriously, this guy was the worst. But it was Belgian Congo which would eventually go on to become the DRC some years down the line too. What this means is that in their earliest forms, these were not independent nations, but instead territories owned by European powers and plundered by them. And this kind of explains to us as to why they lack unique names. These weren't really seen as unique places in the eyes of those who ruled them. Rather, they were seen as just land which France and Belgium could use to profit off of and flaunt over other nations. France and Belgium didn't need to give them more unique names. They were named for efficient and bureaucratic reasons, seemingly. They were land masses which housed the Congo River, as well as making up the former Congo Kingdom. So the name Congo got applied to them, along with the demonym of the countries that ruled over them. The places remained under foreign rule for a majority of the 20th century, with France and Belgium relinquishing power to them in just 1960. This was for a variety of reasons yet again, from a change in sentiment to the depletion of resources in the aftermath of 2 world wars. Because they were no longer under French or Belgian rule, they couldn't really be called French Congo and Belgian Congo anymore, so they needed new names. And the names they landed on were the Republic of the Congo and also the Republic of the Congo. Yeah, for the first few years of its existence, the DRC was also called the ROC, meaning both nations from 1960 until 1964 had the exact same name. Thankfully in 64 they added democratic to their name, which made things slightly less confusing. It wouldn't stay this way, however. As previously mentioned, the DRC was called Zaire for a long period of time. This was from 1971 all the way until 1997, when yours truly was a mere 3 years old. After being called Zaire for a few decades, it reverted back to being called the DRC like it is today. The ROC, meanwhile, didn't change its name and has been called that ever since 1960 seemingly. What this means is that the two countries having the same name is a relatively new thing, only re-emerging in the 90s. I imagine there are people watching this video who have lived a large chunk of their life with this country being called Zaire. I obviously am not one of them. I was probably still watching the Poddington Peas or whatever 3-year-olds got up to in the 90s. What's interesting is that you may think that when they gained independence from France and Belgium, they would have picked completely new names. But they didn't. They decided to both stick with that name of Congo. While it might lead to confusion for us today, it's understandable why they both made this choice. The term Congo in these lands has had deep importance here for centuries and predates the time they spent being bullied by European powers. It was used in the name of a kingdom which had power here way before Europe even started exploring the New World. And of course, it's the name for one of the most famous rivers in the world, which is housed here. And finally, it's the name of the indigenous people of this land, who have called it home for millennia. So despite the confusion it may cause, I don't imagine either of them giving up that name of Congo anytime soon. And once again, thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. Simply visit nordvpn.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to enjoy that exclusive offer and an extra 4 months of NordVPN. Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.